Listen and give. Listen and give. Okay. What do I mean by listen and give? Commonly, when I tell people step 1 and 2, when I get to step 2, they tell me, okay, great. Now I'm going to have this conversation with this person I haven't talked to in a while. What are we going to talk about? And I always tell them, ask them about their favorite topic. And they'll say, like, well, I don't know what their favorite topic is. How would I possibly know that? And I say, it's the thing that they know the most about. It's themselves. Ask people about themselves and let them talk and listen to what they say. This takes away a lot of the pressure, because if you're the one who asks the other person questions and they respond, they'll do most of the talking. So especially if you're an introvert and you're talking to people and you ask them what's new with them, what's the most exciting thing that's happened to them in the past month, what are they looking forward to next month, what's been going on in their lives, any sort of questions about themselves, they'll typically do most of the talking. And then you can continue to ask them questions. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. Or, ooh, how did you feel about that? Again, these are just conversations. They don't have to be high pressure. They certainly shouldn't be scripted. And they're just about having human conversations. So ask the other person about themselves and then listen to what they say, because listening to what they say leads into the second part of this step, which is giving. And giving is one of the most important parts of networking. If you're going to go into this and you can give to other people, you are going to have no problem growing your network. You're going to have no problem finding opportunities. And this is the hardest thing. This is a place where people get hung up the most, because they often say to me, I don't know what to give. Now, this is why you listen and give. As you're listening to what the other person's saying, you're thinking in your mind, what piece of advice, what idea, what book recommendation, what person can I introduce this person to? What can I do to give something to this other person who's sitting here telling me what they're working on or what they're struggling with? And it doesn't have to be big. Okay, so this goes back to, this is based on the principle of reciprocity. And I first came across the principle of reciprocity in Dr. Robert Cialdini's book called Influence. And if you go in there and you read about reciprocity, he talks about an experiment that was done in Asian restaurants. And many people have been to an Asian restaurant. And when you go to an Asian restaurant, what comes with the check? A fortune cookie or a mint or something like that. Now, in this case, it was Asian restaurants, so it was fortune cookies. And, a fortune cookie, not a big cookie, not an elaborate cookie. And you look at that and you go, probably didn't cost them much to make that cookie. But it doesn't matter, because they gave you a gift before you put the tip on the check. And that's intentional. This has been studied that when people receive a small gift, a very small gift with their bill, they tip the waiter more. And they've controlled for all the other variables, and they found it's a statistically significant difference on restaurants who give that gift with the bill and those who don't. It's because they've given you something and you want to reciprocate. That's the principle of reciprocity. So when you give to this other person, they are going to want to reciprocate. And we're going to get into that in the next step. But I want to go back to this, because remember, the fortune cookie is not a big thing. It's a very small token of appreciation. You don't have to give anything big, and you don't even have to give anything right in that conversation. You may walk away from the conversation and be like, I don't have any ideas. And then you walk away later and you're like, oh my gosh, I was just talking to Greg about what he's working on. And then I just read this article that would be perfect for him. Let me send him the link. Easy as that. Send something of value to the other person that's valuable to them. Or say, again, I read this book. What you're talking about is in this book. You should totally check it out. Let me give you the title, right? Give them the title, give them the link to the book. If you own the book, give them the book. Just give it to them. Who cares? You won't have it with you, but like, go home, put it in the mail and give it to them. They're going to be like blown away. You've already read it. So, what do you need it for? Give it forward, right? If you know somebody you can introduce them to, do that. Grow their network. I mean, if you grow somebody else's network, they're going to want to grow yours. So you're listening to what they're working on, and you're trying to think through the conversation while you're not talking, because you're listening. While you're not talking, you're thinking of what you can give to the other person. When you give to them, all that awkwardness of networking, all that feeling of, I don't want to ask anybody for somebody. I don't want to be salesy or sleazy. Like if you've given somebody something, all that goes away, all of that. And it's really comfortable.